Hello and welcome to Speaking Out. The Speaking Out movement has crisscrossed various industries ranging from music to film to wrestling to gymnastics, comedy. And you'll probably remember my face and my dulcet tones from a comedy stage anywhere within Glasgow. Right, and basically I want to talk about two industries. The wrestling industry in the United Kingdom really took to this speaking out thing really well. And people were believed, and people were not poo-hooed. People were respected, and that's what should happen. People should have the respect and listen to somebody. You know, they're not exactly doing this for health and wealth kind of thing. They are doing it because it's true. And that's what people should not forget at all. So yeah, on the wrestling platform it was very well received. And right away from there, the wrestling scene started stopping booking shite numbers, as they're called. Right? And we won't be able to see the full effect of all the de-rostering and severing our connections until the COVID thing releases. But it was really listen to the ethos of the speaking out. It was taken very well indeed. And I know there's going to be massive monumental differences whenever we all can get back and wrestle and watch wrestling, etc. So it has been really good. And in the comedy scene, there has been a speaking out movement. There's actually been two previous to 2020. And sadly, it fell on deaf ears. Nobody listened. Nobody cared. And in 2020, the third speaking out movement had happened at comedy. Again, nobody really bothered with it. And although up to this point it could be viewed as a failure, right? I would love the comedy industry to at least take up a few of my potential suggestions. No more justifications. I.e., if one person says to another, fuck off, that person that told the person to fuck off should not hide behind justifications like, oh, he was in a bad mood, or oh, he's depressed, or oh, whatever. It should be, you had just told an act to fuck off. Now you fuck off. And also, no more doubting, shushing, or abusing speaker outs. Now, nobody in the comedy scene likes naming names, apparently. And, if you are going to speak out, it should, if you are going to speak out, you should be respected, not shushed and put in a cage again, and you shouldn't be doubted, and nobody should ever go through the embarrassment of being verbally abused either by Facebook or phone because you've stood up and spoke out. You should have that right enshrined. And as an act, if somebody does come towards you and say, look, something's happened, involves this person or that person, you should not shush the person for coming forward. Something has made them come forward to you. You should respect the fact that your personality is that good, that somebody had came towards you in faith to let you know, and trust them, trust the people that are speaking out, even if it's a bitter pill to swallow. Even at least case, listen and potentially give advice. And one thing I would hopefully not hear much of, if a speaker out comes forward and speaks to a booker and says, look, this happened, it involved this person's name, hopefully the booker, in brackets promoter, doesn't take this situation as a platform to get abusive and mouthy and make the speaker out feel little and crap. There is a word now called gaslighting, but I don't like the word gaslighting because it's mental torture. It's essentially mental torture and self-doubt, right? People are coming forward to speak because there is something going on. They're not just coming because they're bored or wanting to cause a rumpus. And there's a lot of bookers, may I say, in my experience, I've only had very, very small amounts of time to say, I'm concerned about this or that next thing. But if you speak to a booker about that, either they'll shush you up and put you back in a cage, they'll doubt you, or they'll turn around and say, you either want this spot or not. I don't want to be involved in any drama. Which, fair enough, they don't want to be involved in any drama, but you're bringing up something because something had happened and you don't feel particularly safe. And they should at least, the booker should at least honour something happened. But it has been one occasion, and this is regarding the text message received on the 27th of the 2nd 2019 at 1:50 AM. I had spoke to the promoter, the booker guy, and I said what had happened, and I was expecting a reply, and the typical reply to that situation is a situation of, in quotation, I'm going to have to pull out, I don't feel safe, right? Typical replies would be, okay Andrew, I'm sorry to hear you're feeling unsafe. Trust me that safety is our priority, but if you're not wanting to attend, we respect your wishes. Kind regards, bump bump bump. Or Andy, because of your position in the show on the 28th and you having to pull out, this is going to give me a hell of a lot of work to deal with. I'm moderately annoyed at this fact, but ultimately I wish you safety and we can speak about this sometime soon. But no, this person had actually obviously been briefed about the text message at 1:50 in the morning and me having a word with the guy. So clearly the promoter took his side because I used the C word, the cunt. But ultimately, I don't regret calling him a cunt because ultimately what I had been receiving over the months had just been a boiler cooker, pressure cooker, ready to blow its top. And unfortunately, 27th of Feb, it happened. But anyway, yeah, by the time I contacted the guy, the booker, much later in the night, he'd already clung to one side, and he immediately asked, instead of him saying to me, you know, like, Andrew, I understand you're going for a bit of, we'll speak some other time. Instead of all that, he immediately went into, who does it involve? And I told him who it involved. And that was the fucking Pandora's box. He let rip with his anger, big time. And, you know, saying phrases like, well, it is a comedy scene after all. You will work with people you like, people you don't. I've been on the circuit for 5 years plus. I know that. And this guy was more genuinely annoyed at the fact I had something bad to say about this person. And he was like, I'm genuinely annoyed at the fact that you have something bad to say about this guy. This guy's a tireless helper. He's a friend. He does this, he does that, he does thing, and how dare you say anything bad about this guy, blah 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 blah. And he wouldn't, you know, the booker wouldn't listen to the fact that it was something that made me feel really unsafe. And that night of the 27th, you know, he went from that area to actually being abusive, and when his anger peaked, he was just randomly flinging things to insult me and whatever, and I actually had to ask him, are you just flinging random things to insult me or hurt me? And at that point he said he'd speak the next day over a Facebook call. Fair enough. And he contacted me the next day, to his credit. And I said to him, you know, I'm not pulling out easy. I'm not just being there to be obstructive, or, you know, I'm an awkward person that can't get on with other acts. That's not the pace of the matter. The matter is, there was behaviour that left me very distinctly worried for my safety. And at that point, after discussing it over and over and over, he did actually say, if you do want to, you can pull out with no bad feelings. In hindsight, I should have done it, but because there was a slight onus and a slight pressure on me, I just did it. It was a complete waste of time at a pre-GCF show, and it was the 28th of Feb, and the act that sent me the vicious text message at 01:50 in the morning, the day previous, he had a spot on doing comedy, and all he did was sit there and humiliate me from the stage. That's not an act of a true comedian. That's more an act of a bully, and he got away with it. And that night, when the 2 hour sponsored silence was up, I had 3 guys coming towards me and saying he was sitting in the toilet and basically slagging me off to everyone that's coming in. And one person even told him, go and get some fucking respect. So, goes to show, quite clearly, people are picking up problems. And for the promoter not to have realised that, meh, what can I say? A week or 2 later, there was a night on, and the same guy from Text Message Gate was doing a spot, and I was doing the flyering outside the venue as acts were arriving, and we were all friendly apart from that one person. And you know, at that point, I don't hold a grudge, still don't hold a grudge, and I just said to him, hi, how are you doing? And he looked me square in the eye and told me to fuck off. I went downstairs to speak to someone about this, and the guy who told me to fuck off was hiding behind a very tall guy with red hair. And when I went to speak to the tall guy with red hair and ask him what the hell was being played at, he was wanting to metaphorically shush me up and put me back in my cage, subdue me again. And the booker, when I told him about everything, he didn't want any drama, he wasn't wanting involved, blah blah blah. And I said, well, I actually had to say to him, although you're no a peacekeeper and you don't want to get involved, if somebody comes towards you telling you that an act has caused aggression or violence, you've got to at least step in, because if it escalates any further, the police would ask you why was there no involvement. So didn't really get much more from the operator at night, and the guy that was metaphorically shushing me up and putting me back in my box is actually getting the same train home with me. And I was very, let's be honest, flat and feeling a bit kind of disenchanted, and you could see it on my face, this tall red-headed guy. And he asked me what was wrong, and I said, you know what's wrong? What happened in here? I said, isn't that magnificent for that guy to just get away with things because he's helpful? And at that point, the guy said to me, I don't want to hear anything about this guy. This guy is a tireless helper. He's great. He's this, he's that, and next thing, and all you have to do is say bad things about him. How dare you? And at that point, I thought that was a complete insult to everyone's intelligence, and I just stopped the conversation and walked to a different part of the carriage. I mean, the thing is, that's what I want to say, good things, like good deeds don't earn a right to be bad behaved and then get away with it. That's what should be one thing the comedy scene takes away from us speaking out scenario. They should stop turning blind eyes to people just because they're good, friendly or helpful. That's just the way of things. So fast forward up to the 30th of March, where I do my 10 hours at sponsored silence. I'm glad I did it, because I was able to put right in front of the faces of a lot of people. I was able to put in front of them, get it up here, because a lot of people had the misconception that I'm not mentally capable of doing 10 hours sponsored silence, or I wouldn't be physically able to do it. So up the fucking lot of them. So it was a 10-hour thing on a Saturday, 30th of March, and to be honest, it was a piece of piss. The slight difficulty was with the disrespect of the guy I'm talking about, right? There was a few occasions where this guy, we call him Mr. Text Message, and he was giving me the fingers and the wanker gesture and all that stuff like that, and the only thing I had was a piece of paper to scribble some any concerns down and then have it handed back. And one concern that I had, and I scribbled down, was the fact that he was taking unwanted photographs of people, like close-ups or like side shot of ears and stuff like that. And I scribbled it down and gave it to the organiser that day, and it would come back and it says the all photographs are taken within context of marketing the event. I don't know exactly what years and fundraising have to do, you know, like, I think the fundraiser was not Beatson. It was something different, because normally it is Beatson. But anyway, yeah, there was other things during that 10 hours of sponsor silence that were being flagged up. Like the fact that the Mr. Text message was sitting in the toilet slagging me and others off to people coming in. And on that occasion, 4 people ended up speaking up and speaking out about what was going on. And it was the 4th person in question that spoke up. Or he really spoke up. He ended up, I think it was the second last place. It was last, and he was shouting about level of disrespect going, and that was good to have some public on my side. And at the end of my 10 hour sponsor silence, I was able to jump on the stage and tell people a few things, like, you know, if you didn't think I was mentally up to doing this, get it up you. If you don't think I was able to physically do it, get it up you. And then I was able to do some comedy, which is pretty damn decent. And that was that. And there from 30th of March down to my departure from comedy was about 11 days, and yeah, it was just a matter of kind of sitting back and waiting for my retiral day, 10th of April. That went fine, and on the 20th of April I decided, because I was shushed up and gagged and censored and put back in my cage, I was going to speak up and speak out. And it wasn't just on that theme that I was wanting to speak out. I was also wanting to speak up as well, because this person I've been talking about, called Mr. Text, right? He was forever being nasty towards me, and part of his nastiness was, I would call, delusions. For instance, he thought I'd reported him to the job centre. He thought I was laughing at the thought of him being on benefit. It was the welfare benefit. He thought I'd laughed at the thought of relationships coming towards an end, and he was making references to a smashed window and me find it funny. Benefits or reporting, I tell you something, I'm only telling it once, I wouldn't do. And as far as I knew at the time, I thought they worked. And then also, on to the next benefit, right? He had come to an absurd conclusion that I was laughing at the thought of him going to an ATAS assessment. No, it would be hypocritical, because I was very unwell at one point in 2017. I was hospitalised for nearly 6 months. It was literally a couple of days under 6 months, and during that period I was put in ESA, and I was taken to an ATOS appointment. My CPN, my psychiatrist, said no, he's too unwell. No. I had to do the ATOS test, and the ATOS medical test was over in 8 minutes, and the person taking the test said I was the most unwell person that she'd seen in a while. So that goes to show how unwell I was. Regarding him breaking up with a relationship, right? Again, I wouldn't be so childish and clumsy and hypocritical, because with me, I'm actually 10 years single. Right? I wouldn't laugh at somebody going through a relationship. Relationship breakdowns are horrible, and sometimes they're nasty and messy, and I do not envy anyone going through it, or I would not rub my face in suffering. Let's be honest, I'm single, I'm suffering. Why the fuck would I laugh at another? Doesn't make sense. And then the next delusion, and this is partly, he had a window pan. Now, I tell you something. Why would this have any connection with me? Let's be honest, right? I actually don't know his address, so how could I pan a window of an unknown address? It doesn't make sense. And I would laugh at that. I tell you something, where I live up in Knightswood, window breaking at one point was rife. And I had windows pan, and it's terrifying business. Having the window pan and then waiting in for the glazier to come through. That's terrifying. And you're worried in case someone's going to fucking start nicking shit out of your room with the window affected. So yeah, I mean, the guy was using delusions, and he was forever paranoid about people saying stuff about him. That's not the truth at all. In fact, people have turned a blind corner to him many times over, and put it that way, if they gave him a lot of preferential treatment, whereas if it was Joe Vlogs me, I'd be hung from the toilet booth up in Glasgow. But ultimately, I am trying to say, none of these justifications are true, what he's saying, and they are delusions. Now, 12th of April, I did do a video, and I had to do a video because he was insinuating my name and various things. I had to stand up and either say yes or no, or I can add a little bit more to your knowledge bank. And this video was basically, the main theme about this video was actually to exactly that, say yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree, or here's a fuck ton of evidence that he completely forgot to tell you. And ultimately, the other point of it was to actually let people know I had been suffering for such a long time regardless. Clearly, he didn't like the video, and he had got a friend to try and persuade me to take it down. That didn't happen. The friend, in which case, got argumentative, RC blocked me, a few aimed at statuses, very kind of Glaswegian, and put me up on the cancer forum. Usually the cancer forum is actually known as the comedy forum coolness years. Well, I call it the cancer forum because it's just crop full of cancer. But yeah, you know, they aimed at statuses. You know, there was a tweet that Mr. Text's pal had put up. Is it tweet? Not tweet. Facebook post, and he said, had an interaction with Andrew Vannon. Whatever you do, take him off your roster. Don't book him, delete him, block him, unfriend him. Right? And a few people did unfriend, but to be honest, to just base everything on a tiny wee Facebook status within a cancer forum, they're not worth it. They are not worth it. You know, if you're going to make an opinion on someone, take both sides and then go, right, fair enough. But to take an immediate side from just a shitty little post on a cancer forum, nah, that's clearly not the calibre of person I should be hanging about with. But ultimately, that's basically it. The video itself, again, the police did ask me about the video, and by that time the video was down, so we couldn't really do very much else with it. However, within a couple of hours of the police being in contact with me, the person in concern, Mr. Text, had tried to start communicating with me via email again, and I just picked up the phone, got it dealt with. So yeah, that was that. The only other comedy thingy that I had done was the Fringe. That's the Edinburgh Fringe, and I had my stage time. It was absolutely fine. And as soon as Mr. Text had heard that I was doing a spot on a much respected Edinburgh Fringe show, he sent me a text message, and it was clearly to either, puff up his chest and say, "You're not coming back," or to try and put me off. But ultimately it didn't work. In fact, contacted the police, aka the feds, and they were less than impressed with the text message and told the person to wind his neck in and stop sending text messages or it could get more serious. So that was that. And from August, I basically had worked. I started an evening job in July, and it's an evening shift, and it has me ending the shift about 8 or 8:30 p.m. at night. So for comedy prognosis sake, because of my shift finishing at about 8, half 8 at night, it would be impossible for me to restart comedy. Right? And the reason it would be a nightmare to restart comedy is because of my back shift finishing at 8/8:30, and I'd forever have to be asking the promoter to put me on second round or last or whatever, and that kind of conversation only lasts on the scene a little while before you start losing bookings or you get shoutings at by bookings or promoters. I think it's bookers and promoters are ultimately the same thing, kind of thing, but ultimately said, because I'm a night shift, which is a night shift, by the time I finish, right, I'd be forever having to tell bookers to put me on last and having to run across the city in a small amount of time. It's just too messy. So, I'd rather keep my waters clear and non-muddy as possible and just be content with the employment. And apart from anything, my evenings are paid, and that's that. So really that's kind of come to the end of things, and if anybody has a speaking out thing, go ahead and do it.